Hi everybody. Moving on to lesson 4 now. Okay, so we're on lesson 4, unit 4 in our angles and polygons unit. And that's on page 139 to 142 of your textbook. Today we're going to have an EP, we're going to do 1 to 6 all. So that'll be your assignment kind of at the end of this lesson. So today we're going to learn how to draw angles. So we've learned what different angles are, what their names are. Acute is less than 90, obtuse is greater than 90 but less than 180. Okay, so we learned all the names. Then last day we learned how to measure them with a protractor. So we're given an angle, here it is, measure it, tell me how many degrees it is, tell me how big or how small it is. And that's what we learned. So today we're going to learn how to draw an angle when they give us the number. Hey, it's 22 degrees, it's 193 degrees. You draw that angle now, from scratch, from nothing. So, what are you going to need? You're going to need a straight edge of some kind. Usually a ruler is fine. Okay, so use a ruler that you might have. The only problem with rulers every once in a while is the edges get a little chewed up. So sometimes they don't work the best if they haven't been treated well, but for the most part a ruler is a good idea for a straight edge. You'll need a protractor. I'm going to use my big chalkboard protractor here, but hopefully you all have your little protractors handy as well. And then a pencil just to help you draw. So that's the tools you're going to need today. And here's what I want you to do. You start by drawing a straight line. Well, actually, I guess I got to tell you what the angle is that I want you to draw. Let's ask you to draw a 45-degree angle. Okay? So this is what we want to draw. We have nothing. We're going to have to start from scratch. So, first thing is, draw a straight line. Okay, well I think I can handle that. I'm going to put my ruler down. You'll notice, I just automatically went like this. So some of you might think, well, why not go like this? Or why not go like this? Or like this? You can do whatever you want. The easiest way is to start with a horizontal line. Okay, and I'll show you after how you can start with whatever line you want. Okay? So there's my starting line. Draw a straight line. Okay, I did that. Now, it says, place the protractor. So I'm going to put my ruler down. I'm going to grab my protractor. It says, place the protractor center. So that's this center line or center dot at the start of the line. So I'm going to say this is the start of the line, but this could be the start of the line. It doesn't matter. The start means an end, they're the same thing. So I'm going to choose this one. Make sure that the baseline of your protractor, so that's that bottom 0, is going through the line. So make sure that the line is going through my baseline, my 0. Okay, so I'm going to place this just so that you can see. I'm going to get that right at the start. There. So now the line that I drew is going right down here through 0, and my center is at the beginning of the line. And now I'm going to go up 10, 20, 30, 40, there's 50, right in the middle is 45, and I'm just going to put a little mark. I just put a little tick mark. I try to keep it as small and straight as I can. So I've got that mark. Okay. Now, step 3, I don't think you can see that part of the board, so I'm going to go here. Step 3 is to connect start of line with your new mark. So there's my new mark. There's the start of my line. I'm just going to connect the two. It's like connect the dots. Okay, so I connected the two, and now this here is a 45-degree angle. Perfect. So that's learning how to draw angles. Okay, so I told you I was going to show you a couple other ways. Does it matter where this goes or where this goes? No, it doesn't matter. So what if I erase this, but I kept my original line? And what if you chose this as the starting point? Then what would it look like? Well, I've got step 1 done. Step 2 is place the protractor center at the start of the line. So what if you said this was the start of your line? Alright, so I'm going to place it here, and then I'm going to get my base going through the 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, right in the middle is 45. Make that little mark. Get my ruler. Part 3 is connect the start of my line, which I said was this, to the mark, my new mark. Okay, go here, go there. Okay, this is also 45-degree line. Okay, so it doesn't matter which part you use as your start. You could use either or. And what if you would have made this line up and down to begin with? What if you would have just went like this and randomly drew a line? So there's your draw a straight line. Okay, well let's just follow the same rules. Let's follow the same steps. Pick a starting point. Doesn't matter which one, I just showed that to you. So I'm going to pick this one up here. I'm going to put my center at the start of the line. I'm going to put my base at 0 along that line. And then I'm going to count 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. There's 45. So I've got 45. Step 3, connect the start of my line with my new mark. Okay. Boom. And we've just created a 45-degree angle. So it doesn't matter where this first line, what angle it's on, you just follow the same steps. Straight line, place your protractor, mark the angle you're asked, in this case it was 45 degrees, and then connect your little tick mark, your new mark, to the start, where you had your center of your protractor. Okay, well let's try a couple of different ones. Okay. I'm going to erase this, but you can always refer back to it if you need to. We don't need this anymore. We know what we've got in our hands. Let's say they ask for 135, or let's do another one that's 22. Okay? So here's some angles. Again, I like to use a straight horizontal line. And you're going to say, well, how long do I draw? Do I get the big meter stick out here? Do I make it like super duper long? This might be hard to hold, but we'll get it there. Well, do I make the line that long? And I'll say, only make the line as long as you need to. And it needs to be long enough to get from the center out past your measurements on your protractor. So if this was the start of my line and I did that, well, I would really only have to go to about there. I don't need that much of my line. Everything else is just extra. I don't need it. If I was using this guy, well, I probably only need about that much, because that gets out past the line. So it all depends on how big the protractor is that you're using, and that's going to tell you how long you need to make this line. Okay, so I don't need this big long one here anymore. I'm going to get this guy put back up here. Okay, so there's my start. After my start, I pick up the protractor, put the center on the beginning of my line. Ooh. Zero it up. So I get that centered, and I get that going through 0. Now I've got to go to 135. So there's 100, 10, 20, 30, 140, halfway is 135. And I know that 135 is obtuse, because we've learned that already. We've learned that 135 is obtuse, and obtuse is bigger than 90. So this would be about 90 degrees here. It's got to be bigger. So when I put this up here, and I say to myself, oh, here's 135 right here. Well, no, that can't be a 135 angle because it's less than 90 degrees. So I know which side of this to read based on whether this is obtuse or acute. Okay, then I grab that ruler again, and I go through the center, my new mark. I take my time to get them lined up. Oop. Okay, and now I've got my 135-degree angle. Okay, well, let's try this guy over here, 22. That's going to be pretty small, but I still need to make this line straight and big enough for my protractor to read. Yep, that'll work. If the point was right in the middle here, it wouldn't work because I wouldn't be able to get past there, but I can here. So I'm going to line this up, center it at the start of my line. If that lined up with 0, I'm going to go 10, 20, and then I'm going to count 1, 2. Just put a little tiny mark. Keep it small and straight. I don't want it to look like this because that's hard for me to get my ruler lined up. I just want it nice and skinny. Okay, I don't want a big dot. I just want a little tiny mark. And now I can put my 0, my ruler at the start of my line, and extend that out. There's a 22-degree line. Perfect. Now, these angles are fairly simple, fairly easy to do with a protractor like this, or like the one you have at home. Anything from 0 to 180 is pretty simple to get to. Well, what happens when they ask us to do larger than 80? So what if we get a question that says, show me an angle that is 280 degrees. Well, how the heck am I going to draw 280 degrees? This only goes from 0 to 180. It doesn't get to 280. Well, here's how we would find that answer. We would say that a complete circle has 360 degrees in it. Okay? So if it wants an angle that's 280, well, all I need to do is draw what's left over from 280 to 360. So how do I know what that is? I subtract. 360 minus 280, because 360 is what a full circle would be, a full angle all the way around. And if I take the 280 away, whatever I'm left with, if I draw that angle, the remaining part of it should be 280, and I'll show you. Okay, we got to borrow, turn that into a 2, turn that into a 16, so that's 80 degrees. Okay, so I actually need to draw an 80-degree angle, and if I do, I'll show you how that actually makes a 280-degree angle. Oof. It maybe seems a little bit complicated, like we're not going to get there, but we will. So, again, we're going to start with our straight line. Okay, we're going to grab our protractor. We're going to make an 80-degree angle. So that centers at the start, 0's there, boom, 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 here's 80. Okay, I put a little mark. I connect the mark, I'm doing everything the same. Okay, I just drew this angle. And we said that this on the inside is 80, but this on the outside, so from here to here, is 280 degrees. Because if I added 280 plus 80, I would get a full circle, 360 degrees. So if you're ever asked to draw a reflex angle, okay, reflex greater than 180, we can't just simply use a protractor because reflex angles aren't labeled on here. You might ask yourself though, do we have a protractor that does? And yes. In the shop here, we've got these nice circles here that give you the whole 360 degree. And you'll notice that 0, and it counts up in this direction all the way to 360. So there are protractors out there that'll help you draw a reflex angle. And so if I was to put this on here, 0 there. Oh no, my 0's here. Let's go like this. 0 there, and I go all the way around. What do I get to? 280 degrees. Okay, so this can be used, but not, these aren't very common out there. I don't think you have one of these at home, and it's a little bit more challenging, I guess, to learn how to use this to draw a reflex angle, but it's good math, it's good practice. So let's try another example to try to keep this as clear as we can for you. Okay, so what if they ask us to draw a 320 degree angle? Okay, and you say to yourself, well, I don't have 320 degrees on here, but I know that a full circle is 360. So if I take 320 away from that, I'm left with 40 degrees. So I know that in some way my angle is going to look like this, right? It's going to be a big reflex angle. And this little piece in here should be 40 degrees. So if I draw my 40 degree angle, I'll end up automatically having my 320 degree angle. Okay, so there's the first line. Let's set it over here this time. Okay, 0 there, 0 there, 40. Use this. There we go. And inside of here, 40. Therefore, outside that entire space, measured with a protractor, would give us 320 degrees. Okay? So, this lesson today was about making angles. Okay? Drawing angles, creating angles when you're given a number. And you have to be able to do that with a straight edge of some kind and a protractor. This doesn't have to be a ruler necessarily, because you don't need to measure these lines as far as the length goes. So any kind of straight edge will work. Now, let's have a quick peek at your textbook questions. Then I'll let you get to work on the handouts that I gave you and the EP. And that'll be our lesson 4. Okay, so on page 141, I'm on 141 of the textbook for some practice questions, and it says, use a ruler and a protractor, draw an acute angle with the measurements of 20, 15, 75, just like what we just did here. You'll draw your first line, throw your protractor on it, put a little tick mark at 20, 15, 75, wherever it asks. Connect that line to the start, done deal. Okay, so those first couple of questions are pretty simple. Okay, then it gets into some obtuse angles, 120, 155, 95, 170, same thing. Anytime you have an obtuse angle, you just know it's going to go here, and it's going to go open up, open up, open up. It's just not going to go anything inside of here. Okay, it's going to be bigger than that, and it'll stop in here. So any of these angles from here would be obtuse. Number 3, use a ruler and a protractor, draw a horizontal line segment. Using this, draw a 70-degree arm. Okay, draw another line, 55-degree angle. So it's all just the same stuff that I went over here today. If you want to work through your drawing angles sheet, excuse me. Okay, you're drawing these angles, obtuse. Using a ruler, it says estimate to draw each angle. Okay, so there you're just going to estimate. And then you're going to actually draw some angles on this next one, acute angles, estimate these angles. And then without using a protractor, draw an angle that is close to 45 degrees. And then explain how you did it. Okay? Good practice for you before you get on to your EP. And your EP4, you're going to construct some different angles with your pencil and ruler. It's real simple. Using your protractor to get the angles correct. Otherwise, it's fairly straightforward. So if you're kind of going through and you're forgetting exactly how to measure, just rewind the video. I showed you how to create or make both acute and obtuse angles to start with. Then we went to the reflex angle. And, well, how do we make a straight angle, you might ask? Well, straight angle is obviously easier than you think. All I gotta do is go like this. Done. There's my straight angle. All I gotta do is draw a straight line. Okay, straight angle. What about a right angle? Well, you'd use the same process you would with all the other ones in your protractor. Straight line, protractor, put a little dot at 90, make it go up. Okay? So, that's drawing angles. Have fun with that lesson. If you have questions, get a hold of me and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. Good luck.